said in the past you have commitment issues, so I appreciate you coming on here and doing this. I'm the same way. Like, if I have a meeting like next week for like 15 minutes, I will just hope it gets canceled. So
yeah. The worst. I mean, my friend's got a great joke. He's like, I'm super stressed out. I have a 6 a.m. flight in a week.
Yeah.
I totally relate.
Oftentimes meetings do get canceled like 15 minutes ahead before them, and it's the best relief when they get canceled.
The best. Nothing better than when something cancels. No offense, though. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Have you always been like that? Like when you first started doing stand-up and you had like an 8 p.m. set at night, were you awake at like 11 a.m. like, fuck?
Well, a set is different because that's fun and you get to work on material and tell jokes. But, a flight or a meeting or anything like that is a nightmare.
Yeah.
What stresses you out about a flight? For me, it's security. It's not that I'm going to get in trouble. I just hate the process of dumping all my stuff on the conveyor belt and taking my belt off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it too. I'm with you. But to me, it's you can't relax. You're like, all right, what gate am I at? How's the time? Do I miss the boarding? What number am I? What zone am I? Then you get on the plane. Do I have bag space? Do I not? Am I sitting next to a fat guy? There's so many like elements that you have to constantly worry about. And that's the part that kills me.
Oh, totally. I feel like it's something that it's not even my own anxieties. It's like built in from your parents.
Yeah.
Freaking you out. Like, oh, you have an 11 a.m. flight. Yeah. You better be ready at 6. Like,
right. Same. And I'm also hyper vigilant. So if I'm on the flight and I'm in the aisle and someone's sitting next to me in the window seat, the whole flight I'm like, are they going to have to go to the bathroom? Fuck this.
Yes. Same. We're both considerate to a fault. Like if someone's in the middle seat, I just give them the armrest or give her the
Yes.
I worry about them the whole time. But if I'm in the middle seat, people are stabbing me with elbows all day.
I know. And if someone reclines their seat right in my fucking face, I just allow it. I just let people treat me like shit all the time in that way.
Now, wait a minute. What is the reclining the seat etiquette? Because I assume if it reclines, you're allowed to recline it. What is that bad?
I think you're allowed to recline it, but I never do just because I feel bad for the people behind me. And now I do the thing where I just pick the seat at the very back of the plane, so I feel fine with it. And I also like being close to the bathroom just in case. I don't know. I hate bothering anybody ever at all for some reason, which is weird because I'm like 6'3". Like you'd think I'd be like more into like intimidation and bullying people, but I really feel like I'm just a nuisance.
He's very aware of your size.
Yes, exactly.
Right, but that's a good sign. I think because you're actually secure with yourself. Well, wait. Like it's the little guy who's the bully. Usually, he's got to overcompensate. You're the gentle giant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Made me feel great. Are you in New York right now, Mark?
I'm actually in Raleigh, North Carolina. Not bragging. Doing a gig out here tonight.
Wow, that's so crazy? You're doing shows again. How have they been?
They've been great. I mean, I follow the rules. I play ball. I wear the mask. I don't hug anybody. I wear a condom. But I just got to pay the rent, so I have to do these gigs still because that's my bread and butter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Did you? We just had Dan Soder on, and he got COVID, and I got COVID last month. Did you ever get it?
I got it in March of last year, so about a year ago I got it when it was new and nobody knew what it was. I called a doctor. I was like, I feel like shit. I don't know what I have. He goes, you got a bug. Something's going around, and I think it was COVID.
Wow. Did you lose your sense of taste?
I lost taste. I lost smell. I was fatigued. I couldn't get up. I was snotty and sweaty and just wiped all the time. But I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I was telling her, like, to me, feeling shitty and all that stuff was bad, but losing your sense of taste and smell was, like, so depressing.
Brutal. I remember having my nose in a peanut butter jar and I got nothing.
Yeah, I took a mouthful of ghost pepper salsa and couldn't taste it, and it was like, uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, no. I want to go in
later,
hot ones.
Why am I shitting blood?
We just heard you talking about how that fan interaction you had when you went to China. And my band toured there also. And when you were saying that people were just like shitting on the street and stuff, I was like, yes! No one knows about that, but it's crazy. Like in Beijing, as soon as I got off the plane, I had an instant sore throat. Everyone's been wearing those masks for years. And I got like when you were saying the food was terrible, it's so weird what they choose, like, because people were taking us out for dinner and it'd be like, here you go, we're so happy you're here from Canada. Here's a weird scrambled egg in water dish. Enjoy that.
I'm so with you. I mean, also the pollution there is horrific.
Yeah.
Like they have crazy air pollution. So you're probably breathing in all this new shit. It's not only is it pollution, but it's new pollution that your body doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
And the food was weird, and there's shit everywhere. Everybody's squatting and smoking.
Yeah.
China. I don't want to shit on China, but it wasn't my
fun
cup
there.
of
But
jizz. Yeah. The wall is great. I love the people. The crowds were awesome. They're very efficient people, but I don't know. Not my bag.
It's funny. My friend Eddie Bravo, he's there for MMA stuff all the time, and I asked him what he ate over there. He's like, first of all, don't drink the water. Don't even brush your teeth with the water. And I was like, what do you eat there? He's like, McDonald's. he's going there to fight, and that's what he's eating because it's just consistent.
Yeah. It's probably better than our McDonald's, but still, it's McDonald's.
Yeah, I got such bad food poisoning that in the middle of the tour, while everybody else was doing the Great Wall and stuff, I was like out of my mind, sick in our hotel for like 4 days.
Brutal. And sick is horrible. Food poisoning is horrible, especially when you can't drink the water. Because all you want to just do is hydrate. Like when I'm hungover in China, I wanted to kill myself because, I just go to the tap usually and just chug water all day. But now I'm like, oh, the Evian is out, or the Fiji is out, or the Dasani is out. I got to go buy new ones.
Oh, it's so crazy. What were the shows like for you over there? Like, did everything translate?
Yeah, I think they're pretty excited about American comedy or Canadian comedy or whatever it is. So people came out, and I had a lot of Chinese people who spoke English as a second language, and they knew the language better than I did. And so they're just so much better than us in all that education, and they're smarter. And so the only problems were like the colloquialisms, like these weird kind of cultural terms we have that they might not have.
Okay. Like just slang and stuff is like probably hard to explain.
Yeah. Hungry enough to eat a horse. They're like, why would you eat a horse? They're very literal.
When my band toured Japan, the record label took us out for dinner, and they were kind of like asking how adventurous we were with food. And we were like, very adventurous, bring us anything. And then we were eating this stuff that tastes like liver, and they were just like watching us eat it. And then they're like, yeah, that's raw horse. So maybe that's where that expression. And my mom, like, we're pretty poor, but my mom grew up cleaning horse stalls, and so I felt really guilty about having that.
Isn't that weird how we've just decided what animals are cool to eat and what aren't? Go nuts on a fish, go nuts on a rabbit, a duck, a quail, a chicken. But hey, if you eat that cat or dog, you're a piece of shit. You're like, well, what's the difference? It's just fur and legs.
Yeah. I liked you had talked about how like you grew up in that dilapidated mansion, and how the back, which was like a bed and breakfast, was really nice, and then the side that you lived in had like minor lamps and stuff. And you said that would be a good show, but it was be too dark. I think that'd be an amazing show.
I would watch that for sure.
Hey, I appreciate it. I've tried literally for 10 years to sell it. I've written scripts. I wrote a pitch. I pitched all over town, but no dice. I don't know what it is. I think if I had some juice, if I was like a famous guy, I could do it. But as a newcomer, they're like, this is a lot. Like racial tension, trans, 90s.
Yeah.
Dilapidated mansion, bed. It was a lot. It's a lot to throw at people when you're not famous, I guess.
But it's so crazy because you've been a name for so long. I guess it's just hard for, I think also those networks are just afraid of any new ideas,
Yes, I agree. They're all a bunch of cowards, and they're scared of anything new. But let's say I put the show on, let's say I shot it myself, paid for it, put it on YouTube, and it was a huge hit, then they'd buy it. So they're just nervous. They're business people at the end of the day. It's not about the art.
Yeah,
every meeting I go to, they go, "You're a comedian? I love George Carlin. I love Richard Pryor." I'm like, You would never book Richard Pryor if he came out today. He's filthy. He's irreverent. He's saying all the N-word, all this shit. Like, you would never book Carlin, an old white guy talking about pussy farts. What are you kidding?
I like how every interview you do, queefing comes up somehow, which it just did.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think it's maybe the funniest single word. Because I'm always trying to boil comedy down to its quickest version. You know, you do interviews and shows, and you want to be quick, funny, quick. And queef to me seems like the winner of the one-word laugh.
It is really funny, and when you busted that out on that Good Morning Cleveland show, it was like you dunked on her.
That was so good.
Like it just totally changed the pace.
Thanks. Yeah, she didn't see that coming. That was fun. It's technically still clean. I think it's still TV okay. They haven't gotten to queef yet.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
That's like how Dave Chappelle said. He's like skeet, skeet, skeet. No one knows what this means yet.
Right.
What happened after that interview?
Yeah, did you get a bump on the like social media and stuff?
That's the weirdest thing. I've done like 4 Tonight Shows, 8 Conans, all this shit. Nobody cares. I did that one rinky-dink Cleveland morning show at 8 a.m. hungover.
Yeah.
The whole thing took, 4 minutes, and it was the biggest pop I've had in anything I've done.
If you watch it though, it's so rewatchable and it's so shareable because you just were like so with it with so many jokes. Like it was crazy. Like when she's like, "Well, when she's like, you're young," and you're like, "Black don't crack." It's like you're already still laughing from the thing that was just said that I would have to pause and be like, "No, you missed it. This is my favorite line of this whole interview. You got to hear this part."
I appreciate it. That's very nice. But the funny thing is the whole motivation behind that was anger. I was like, this is my 4th one of these today.
Yeah.
Nobody sees this shit. It's a waste of time. So I'm just saying anything I can just to not kill myself. And so I'm basically just trying to amuse myself. And, that's the crazy thing about the internet. You never know what's going to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love how you could hear the crew laughing like right away.
Yeah.
That's got to feel good when you're doing that interview. And that interviewer, she's like pretty cool. Like Bobby Lee went on there and just basically molested her, and she was just like fine with it.
Yeah. She gets it. She after the cameras went off, she's like, "That was great, good job." Good. And I was like, "Oh, I thought you hated me."
I know it's like kind of hard to tell. I was like, as soon as the camera shut off, was she just like, "Get the fuck out"?
I know, but I kind of feel like you have a charm and a likability that you can just get away with anything.
Yeah, totally.
I appreciate it, but she's a pro. Like she acts a little stuffy. Like, oh God, how could you? But she gets it. She's totally playing the straight person, and it's a beautiful thing. And I wish more people in TV were that talented, but.
Totally.
On morning TV, you're not going to get a lot of raw talent.
Totally. I heard this old. I don't know if you ever listened to Loveline when you were younger, but Adam Carolla, when he hosted it, was really funny, and he was talking about how he was a bedwetter almost till he was 30. And
right?
Yeah, and he told a story about how he was having a dream that he was a Roman gladiator, and he was about to fight someone, but he had to pee, and so he was trying to take all his stuff off, his armor, his chainmail, and everything, and then he woke up and he peed all over his girlfriend. And I'm just wondering if you ever had any encounters with that, or if you kind of solved it by the time you were sharing a bed with people.
I probably stopped wetting the bed at about 13, so I was pretty late. But the thing is, you start drinking heavily at 16, 17. And then when the booze kicked in again, like the blackout nights, that's when I would pee on girlfriends or one-night stands. I mean, I peed on more kids than R. Kelly. When I was a kid.
Yeah. We figured.
Oh, man.
I wonder if R. Kelly was into that when he was of age. Like it's like your joke about how when you're a little kid you liked grape juice and now you like wine.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was kind of always into that and it just never matured.
Yeah. I wondered that myself. Like a pedophile, when he's 11, is he into 11-year-old girls still and he just stayed there, or does he go back?
Yeah, he's into 4-year-olds.
Yeah. Oh God.
Right. Fascinating.
Well, this is definitely the most crazy interview we've done so far. I love it. No, I love it. We were looking forward to this, dude. Like, it's so funny. Like, we've been interviewing kind of like a lot of seller comics and stuff, and it's always the easiest, funnest interview because, like, I prepared a bunch of questions, but we probably didn't even need to do them. You know what I mean? Like, you're just so good at this. So thanks for coming on.
Oh,
yeah.
You guys are great, and it's easy to chat with. So,
thanks.
Oh, thank you.
And you have fun questions. I mean, I can't tell you how many of these I do. Like, so what's your process for writing? How did you get into comedy? How do you come up with material? You're like, I don't know. I talk about bedwetting, and then I make an R. Kelly joke, and I write it down.
It's going in the act.
That's going in the act.
Did you, when you were a kid, like, I heard you kind of talk about how, like, you were, like, into skateboarding and tagging and stuff. Did you ever get into fights? Like, you were in a rough neighborhood, right? Because you grew up in New Orleans.
Oh, I mean, I got no fights, but I'd say I got beat up a lot. I wouldn't say I didn't do much fighting. I don't know. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I wasn't an aggressive kid. So if you started shit with me, I would just be like, what? Huh? And then I get hit in the face.
Oh.
But yeah, I got in a lot of fights. I got knocked out once on St. Charles Avenue, and I pissed myself. I got knocked out so hard.
What happened?
Which is double embarrassing. He hit me right in the temple, and I just saw white, fell down on a guy's lawn, woke up, and I was covered in piss, and my friends were fighting above me. And I was like, well, this is maybe the lowest point in my life.
What started the altercation?
Well, it was a Mardi Gras parade. I think I was, probably in college. I was 19, 20. And these other college kids were trying to steal another kid, like a 10-year-old kid's stuff. You know, you catch stuff from the floats and you put it in a bag and it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
And this kid had a treasure trove of beads and doubloons and all this shit. So these guys were trying to take it. And we stepped in. We're like, Jesus, leave the kid his stuff. And they're like, you got a problem? We're like, whoa, what the hell's wrong with you? And then they just started wailing on us.
Oh.
And we held our own, but the fight broke up. And then while we're all kind of standing there, one of them ran up and sucker punched me, and I went out.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the urine commenced.
That's what you get for trying to be a good person.
I know. We got them back later, though. We beat the fuck out of them in the street on a surprise attack. But hey, those were different times when there were no cell phone cameras and no Twitter, and you could really fuck someone up and get away with it.
Was it like Good Will Hunting where you were driving and you saw them and you're like, stop the car?
Yeah, kind of like that. It was we were at the parade and my friend saw him from it, like, those are those guys. And we had more guys with us this time, and we had like our football player friends were there.
Whoa.
So we were a lot more mobbed up, and we really dominated. And we didn't feel bad because they, sucker punched me.
Fuck those guys.
Exactly.
I'm glad that happened to them. Maybe they learned a little something.
Eye for an anal.
So you said that the Good Morning Cleveland thing like gave you like the biggest bump, but Rogan those appearances must do something for your social media and awareness, right?
It's not what it used to be with the Spotify, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I've done the LA one and the Austin one.
Oh, cool.
And the LA was just, that first one was just, I mean, to the moon, Alice. It was just like a huge, huge bump. And I went from being like a, comedian on the road, selling half a room, and then to just selling out shows, adding shows. So
wow,
that was a big game changer.
That's such a cool opportunity. Like when you got asked to do it, man, what a great couple years you had, like with that, and then Seinfeld asking you to open for him on the road and everything, and you were doing Schumer arena tours before that. So awesome.
Yeah, I had a good run. And I'm completely grateful and aware of how lucky I am throughout the whole thing. But here's the thing: is I always prepare. Like some guys go, "I'm doing Rogan tomorrow," and I'm like, well, what do you got? You got any stories? They're like, I don't know. I wrote down every story. I wrote a list of all the interesting things. I wrote the Enos stuff, the bed and breakfast stuff. I wrote it all out and just had it in my head.
Wow.
In case there was a lull or a dead spot, I could just bring that shit up. So
wow.
You gotta, you get the opportunity, but you still gotta kill it.
Yeah. I think that's how you've kind of handled your whole career. Like you clearly really care about doing a good job with stand-up. Like it seems like you write all the time. Oh
yeah, you gotta write. I heard Neil Brennan once say, he's like, look at all the most famous comedians. They're all the ones who write the most.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, he's right. You got to have a new hour. You got to have new material. You got to go on SNL and have material there. You got to go on Conan and have material there. So you just constantly have to be writing and having new stuff. Because comedy, the curse of it, you play Stairway to Heaven your whole life and you're fine. Comedy, you got to have new stuff or you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unless you're like one of those Gaffigan style comedians where but you still need to have new stuff, but people for some reason still want to like talk along to the punchline or
That's
you know what
true.
I mean?
Well, he's got a couple Stairway to Heaven bits, the Hot Pockets and all that. So, but that's, few and far between. That's one bit or two bits out of 7 hours of material.
Absolutely. And he's a workaholic too. And it's crazy because he and his wife write his act together, I read.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
True story.
Dimitri Martin treats writing like a 9 to 5. Do you kind of have that kind of thing?
I try to do at least an hour a day. And Roy Wood Jr., he's a great comic. He had this great point where they said, how much do you write? He goes, I write all day. They're like, what do you mean you write all day? He's like, well, when I'm taking a shower, I'm writing. When I'm eating lunch, I'm writing. Because you're going, how come the hot dog bun is smaller than the whatever? So you're constantly just, what do you call it? Like marinating with material. So that's kind of writing, because writing is more than just literal physical writing. It's actually just thinking about it, stewing on a joke, stewing on an idea. And sometimes that takes years, but you got to be always doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you do Tuesdays with Stories, and you've been doing it for a long time. Do you ever kind of like accidentally come across what could be a bit during that and write it down and try it later kind of thing?
All the time. Yeah. So just like jogging stuff. Because when you sit down to an empty piece of paper, you're kind of blank. You're like, okay, you start looking around the room, chairs. What's funny about chairs? But when you start jogging it and having a conversation, it comes more naturally. And like that R. Kelly thing, I'll probably tweet that later.
Please do.
Yes.
I can't wait to retweet it. When you were talking shop with Seinfeld when you were on the road with him, is he still like, let's talk about writing, and like, is he still like talking about comics and all that kind of stuff, like in the same way you do?
Completely. He's a complete comedy nerd. He wants to hear who's the new guys, who's the new guy or gal that's fun and innovative and killing it, and what are the good rooms, what shows he like, what are you guys doing, what's up with TikTok? Like, he's very curious, and I think that's why he's so relevant still. I mean, his show's been off the air for 20 years. Yeah. And he's still comedians in cars. He just put out a special last year. He put out a new book. Like, he's still hustling.
It's so funny because how we were talking about how we're both like overly considerate. When you accidentally went off stage and went back on stage, you must have been just like kicking yourself all night.
Worst mistake I've ever made. If I could have given my left arm to replay that, I would have done it in a heartbeat.
But then he seemed to have it seemed to like not bother him beyond the moment though, right?
Yeah, I guess. And I think weirdly enough, he kind of gave me the business and he yelled at me, and then I think that actually made us closer in the end.
Oh yeah.
So it all worked out, ends well, whatever that ends well, whatever it is. All's well that ends well. But it was pretty horrific at the time. I went home. I'm in my suit. Yeah. And I'm just laying in bed in the suit staring at the ceiling. And like before I know it, the sun had come up. I just was thinking, Yeah. Brutal.
Oh, no. Sorry I brought it up.
No. It's a fun story. We're still cool. It's not like it fucked up our relationship.
Oh man, that's great. Did you find that during isolation and everything, you were consistent with writing and everything still?
No, I feel bad. I wasn't as good as I could have been. I think we all had a moment like, well, the world's over. Let's just eat ice cream and watch Netflix and, keep the bathrobe on and sleep till 3 and go to bed at 5. So I definitely enjoyed that for a couple months. But now I'm back stepping on the gas again.
That's great, man. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for coming on. We really appreciate it. We're big fans. You're so funny, man. Thanks for doing the great interview with us.
Yeah. You guys are pros. You're great. And praise Allah.
Have a great show tonight, man.
Thank you. Comedy.
Bye.
Bye.